What up? What up? Welcome back to Bold. My name is Alex Yemeck. I'm very happy to be here again today where we interview bold people. And today, once more, we are talking to a bold lady who's doing great things here at UST. She used to be here at UST in she graduated in 2009, right?
Yes.
All right. And she has a very beautiful name, is Cimela Kidonakis, right?
Yes,
Did I
correct.
get it right? All
Yeah.
right. I don't like messing people's names. So this is very exciting. Today we're talking about basically she's an alumna, so we're talking about storytelling, documentary filmmaker, because that's what she is. So Cimela, welcome back to UST.
I love coming back to campus, and all the lights are up for Christmas,
All
and
right.
it's just so nice to walk around here again.
All right, no, we love having you, because only bold people come to this show. So we're very happy to have you here. Now, let's get right to it. You were here in 2009. You graduated in 2009.
Yes,
right? All right.
2009.
And your major was communication.
Yes,
right? All right.
communications with a focus in video production.
All right, amazing. Now, one of the first things that we like to do when we come here is, our people want to know about you. Who are you? Talk to us about yourself, how you started this, your family, tell us about you.
So when I first graduated high school, I thought, let me, go check out Austin. Like, I was thinking, let me go live in Austin. So I was thinking St. Edwards. And my sister was like, Cimela, Houston is the best city. Why are you going to go somewhere else? And she was attending Rice University at the time. And she was like, St. Thomas is right next door. You got to check it out. And so we actually went to St. Thomas, and they matched the scholarship I was getting at St. Edwards. And they actually gave a little bit more and said that this was the right school for me. And I thought it was so beautiful that they, really wanted me to be here. And so I ended up coming here, and it was the best 4 years. I loved it. I was in RE on campus. And, when I first came freshman year, I didn't really know what I wanted to study. And I just knew that I had to do the core classes. So I had philosophy and theology and like math and astronomy and like all of these core classes. So it allowed me to have a little more time to figure out what I wanted to do. And as I was trying to look at all the majors and degrees, I realized there was video production, and I got so excited because I loved video production. Like ever since I was little, I was making videos, and it all kind of started when I would go visit my dad's. I would go visit my dad's home in Crete, in Greece, and my dad never really went with us. He always just worked really hard so that we could know where we came from, and so he would send my mom and my sister and brother and I there, and with a camera. And so I always loved to be in charge of the camera. And so I would just do little videos for my dad. So at first it was just like, let's capture memories. But then in high school, we were actually creating video news segments for the school. So I learned about editing a little bit. And editing was like magic. It was like putting a story together. And so when I was at St. Thomas, it was amazing to be here. And I had like Professor Butler and Miss Williamson, and just all of these people who were teaching you more about storytelling. So that's how I got into it here. Wow. And then when I graduated in 2009, I just continued learning from other filmmakers, and that's how I got into documentary filmmaking.
Wow, this is amazing. So it just came like that, no inspiration from a family member or anything like that?
I was inspired by my mom, because she always captured she was always taking pictures of us, and also I think a big thing is both my parents, they're amazing storytellers. Like they are probably, I could sit and hear stories from them, and they're so like the way they tell a story is also, it's not even just what they're saying, it's the way they say it. And so my mom is like kind of like a Mexican novela soap opera. Like there's drama in her story, and she gets really into them, and she's like does the voices when she's reenacting something. So I love the way she tells a story. And then my dad, he's the kind of person that walks into a room and he's so quiet, but as soon as he starts talking, everyone goes quiet and they just want to hear him talk. So I think just being around great storytellers and wanting to capture them and wanting to capture the stories of, you know, them growing up and coming to America and just like working hard. And my dad is just, you know, he's an artist, so he restores classic Mercedes-Benz, and he came with nothing. And he just came with like the Germans came to Greece in the early days and like taught him how to fix Mercedes-Benz. And it was just kind of a side thing, but that's what my dad knew how to do. So when he came to Houston, he started working on cars, and then he became very popular when it comes to like restoring classic Mercedes. So I just love them. I love how hard they work. So I would say a lot of me doing this is because I'm inspired by my parents.
Wow, this is amazing. And so how what can you say with your time here at UST? How does that prepare you? I know that you kind of brushed a little bit with, you know, yes, Professor Butler, for example. So what are some of the stuff that prepare you to really get into this? Did you guys do some filming here, some projects that you guys worked on?
So that was the coolest thing is that, you know, St. Thomas, it's not a film school, and, you know, people go to film school, but I think what was great about St. Thomas is it's liberal arts. So it teaches you about everything. Like you know, in philosophy, a main thing is like, what is the purpose like of life? What is the purpose? What's your purpose? And so you're constantly thinking about what are you supposed to do, and how do you incorporate that into with your faith, and how do you combine all those things? So that's what I learned here at St. Thomas, is just like, what do I want to do, and how can I give back to society? So then I studied, you know, here, different things about how to do videos, and there's cool stories on campus. So there's a small department where we all kind of got our own computer. We had our own Apple really to edit. It was like we had a certain number of cameras, but there was such a small department, like really maybe 13 to 15 people in my video production class, more in communications classes. But we all could, you know, rent the camera or stay late and edit in the basement of the library, even though, as many of us know, it's haunted down there. We would stay there late and just work, and crazy things happened to me and Darnell, actually, when we were working on a project. And Mr. Butler was like, when we had to extend the deadline for it, he was like, oh, I've heard crazy stories, so I understand if you need to extend the deadline, because, you know, there's some things happening. But yeah, so we just had, you know, access to the editing lab at all hours. Security would let us stay till midnight there. And that's what I think was amazing, was the small department, and also just learning the liberal arts. I will never stop saying how thankful I am that I have a liberal arts, went to liberal arts school.
Yes. Wow, this is amazing. So I'm always amazed when students talk about how philosophy really helped them, because, you know, we have students here and we have to take theology and philosophy, and you see how the philosophy helped you, right, and becoming this great filmmakers that you are, you know, growing to become, you know, because you're a filmmaker, you are definitely going to be great in what you're doing. And so let's talk about a little bit of the projects that you have worked on so far, let's say, you know, outside of the school. How many projects have you worked on, and the ones that are out there now?
So right now we've done 2 full-length documentaries, and one is more of a spiritual journey to a pilgrimage place called Medjugorje. It's a small village, and we took 7 people there. We even took atheists, you know, non-believers, a woman with stage 4 cancer, a man with ALS, and kind of just documented their experience. And then our recent movie is a true crime story, and it's just a story that we heard on NPR. It was about a priest that was murdered, and when we came into the story, you know, he had already been murdered, and the person who murdered him had already been captured. But the interesting thing that really led us to continue to follow the story was that Father Rene, who had been murdered, he left a letter that said, if I am ever to be murdered, I don't want the person who murdered me to face a death penalty. And this was a death penalty case. So we just were so curious to know what was going to happen, and we kind of wanted to documented to help project Father René's voice. So that's the current film, Where There Is Darkness, and it actually just showed at St. Thomas 2 weeks ago.
Wow.
So that was so cool for me because I love that it came on campus. And then we're working on a movie right now with Gerard Butler, who is he's been in a few movies like 300 and some romance movies. I don't know his whole list of movies, but he's a pretty amazing actor. So we got to go with him to Haiti, and he was helping a charity called Mary's Meals there. So that's a beautiful charity film that, you know, a celebrity was wanting us to help with. Capturing that. And then we have one other one called Cross Mountain, which is going to be released next year, that we've been working on for 5 years now. So that's probably the longest we've been working on a project is 5 years.
Wow. And so you are focusing a lot on documentary, but not the film itself, like far as like these movies and things like that.
Yes, I love documentaries. Actually, my favorite genre is what I realize now is that I love true stories. But I love feature films. I love when it's a true story, but it has actors. So at some point, I think that I would want to explore more of that because making a documentary is so hard. Like, you are just capturing so much footage. Like the True Crime Story, we had so much crime footage. Like a car ride was maybe 10 hours of just audio, and you have to go through and find little pieces of it. So it takes a lot because you have all of these research and pieces that you can put together versus a scripted piece like a feature film. You can actually, you already know the story, you've already worked on the story, and you're just getting the scenes that you need, and you already can put it together the way that the script is. So one of my favorite movies that I saw recently is called Lion, and it's a true story, and it has like Nicole Kidman in it. I just love it so much. I love true stories. I don't enjoy as much a made up story, but there's some that are really good. Like I watched The Joker and I thought it was amazing. So I mean, it just depends with me. It has to feel real. And that's why I like documentaries because they're completely real. Like ours, we're just documenting what happened. We try to be unbiased, and you get to hear from a real Joker, like Stephen Murray, who is the murderer in our true crime story. But the thing that's beautiful is that I came from a university where, you know, nobody's a monster. There's the dignity of the human person. So how do you tell the story of a murderer and show the dignity of him?
Of the person.
So that's the best part, I think, is having that background to know no one's a monster.
Yes. Wow, this is amazing. Before we go to the break, I wanted to ask you, you do a lot of work, you know, toward, you know, your work is leaning toward faith, spiritual content. Why? What is it that attract you with that? Why is it that you know, going a whole lot into this?
I never wanted to do religious films or like have a spiritual film because I was so afraid to mess it up. And so many times I watched a religious movie and thought it was like super cheesy, and my faith isn't cheesy. So I was always kind of afraid before I got into it. But then, you know, as I was working with this amazing team, like my co-filmmaker Sean Bloomfield and Jesse Hannibal, we all didn't want to make cheesy movies. We all have this faith that we, you know, I try to go to daily mass. I love what the Catholic faith teaches. So we wanted to have the perspective where, like, for example, this spiritual religious place, we took atheists with us, you know, like we wanted to capture just real life, you know, people who maybe are non-believers, but what are they going to experience when they go to a place that has miracles? So that was what that's what I love about it, is that we try never to be cheesy. We try to, you know, true crime story about a priest that was murdered. It's heavy. It's like, it's not cheesy. And with documentary, it's true. So that's what I love, is like incorporating my faith that's so real and so beautiful into movies.
We're really, really happy you're an alumni, so you're coming back here and, you know, talking to us. You know, this is really, really amazing. Before we go to the break, we were talking about how you you are mixing your faith, right, with your filmmaking, And then we were talking about why is it that you are leaning so much in the spiritual aspect of it. And it was so good that, you mentioned about how here, because we are studying theology and philosophy, that, you really want to, even when you do documentary as the one that you did with the crime, that you want to show the personality, you want to show that there's a human being behind what is going on, and that, to have some type of dignity, right? And this is really amazing here at UST, because, we get an opportunity to, to study these philosophy and theology, and we get to learn about that, treating people like human beings, all right? So I want to talk about some of, your documentary. You spent a lot of time in Medjugorje. Is that Medjugorje?
Yes, Medjugorje.
Medjugorje, documenting the Marian apparitions and its influence on people, right? What attracted you to that story, and what have you learned from it?
So as I was growing up, I was raised Catholic through my mom, who's Mexican. And so we grew up going to Guadalupe in Mexico City, and Lourdes in France, and Fatima in Portugal, and just like always going on pilgrimage. And I had never heard of Medjugorje, and it was, it was in the 80s during communist times in Bosnia and Herzegovina, ex-Yugoslavia, that there were 6 children who claimed to see the Virgin Mary. But the crazy thing is, they claim to see her today. Like, over all these years, they still see her. And so, as this is going on, the church is waiting for it to finish before they make, they approve it, yes or no. And so, but I thought, I don't want to wait to not go and explore there. When I found out about it, I said, I'm going to go there. And it so happened that my co-filmmaker, who I work with now, he was doing a documentary about it called Apparition Hill. And it was a call to send in videos why you wanted to come, send a videos why you want to come here, you've never been before. And he was trying to bring people who were from a diverse background, so people who didn't believe, or who were maybe struggling with drug addiction, or maybe had some type of sickness, because people who go there, they go searching for something. And so I was so drawn to it, I couldn't get it out of my head. And I read about it, and I submitted a video, and my co-filmmaker Sean, he loved my video so much, and he looked at my work. He's like, wow, she has her own video production company in Houston. Like, I really didn't want to do this alone. And so he asked me to come on as partner for the project, which I thought he was nuts. I was like, he's never met me before, this is crazy. But I also thought, I can't say no to Our Lady. So I said yes, and it was, it's a crazy project. We did in 2015. It's now on Amazon, Google Prime, iTunes, so you can you stream it online and watch it. And just the beautiful things that happened to us while we filmed. It was a 2-year project. And I actually happened to be living in Bosnia and Herzegovina half the year. So this year I lived there for 6 months, and I never imagined that doing a project like this was going to make me split my time between Houston, the city I love, and Bosnia and Herzegovina. But I love it there. It's so amazing. The church is full of people. They need to build a new church. There's too many people there, and there's lines to confessions every day, and confession in every language, mass in every language. It's just the sacraments are so alive. So it's nice to explore and be there, and just work on more projects that have to do with, prayer and peace. And a lot happened in that project. I think something really unexpected happened, and that's why the movie, was screened in over 200 theaters. Actually, AMC picked us up, which we're an independent film company, but they saw like the demand and how many people were going. They were like, we want to pick your movie up in the box office. So it was just a great, project that actually ended up filling the theaters.
Wow, this is amazing. An amazing story. So you follow an unconventional career path, and what are some of the things that you think helped make you successful? Your success in this non-traditional track.
I definitely think constantly, like when I'm going to have something important happen or whatever it is, I am always trying to keep it in prayer. I always want to be doing something that I feel it's part of the path that maybe God wants for me. And, you know, it's hard to know. And I think you have to spend a lot of time, you know, in prayer. So for me, daily mass is the best way. I love daily mass because every day it's 30 minutes and you just can have this amazing wisdom from the priests and the readings. And so to me, there's so many great ideas that happen to me while I'm at daily mass. I'm focused, but there's things happening in my head.
Wow.
And so when I leave mass, sometimes I have this idea or I thought like, oh, I need to follow up with this person. So I would say that's a key thing. I would also say that a big blessing was joining forces with my co-filmmakers, Sean Bloomfield and Jesse Hannibal, because I could not do what I do without them.
Wow.
We are a team, and doing it by myself is not possible. And so to have two people who have a similar outlook on light and, you know, in the darkness, so where there's darkness, like seeing that, you know, no one's a monster, seeing the dignity of the human person, but also never trying to preach. We're not, you know, qualified to preach to anyone, and we just try to inspire people and just show through our example, like what we're trying to say. So I think just collaboration and finding good people to work with is so key in the creative world. And it makes projects so much better.
Yes, that is so true. And let me ask you, because, you know, we've talked a lot about you. I haven't asked you about your family because you're in filmmaking business, documentary, so it happens that you be traveling a lot and you're probably out there a lot. So do you have, you know, you're married, have kids, and if you do, how do they feel about, you know, this whole thing?
It's so hard to be away from home. So when I'm in Houston, I live with my sister, and we're so close, close. People might think we're too close. So when I left, it was really hard for both of us because we missed each other so much. But the beautiful thing about it is that my sister, you know, even though she was a little bit skeptical about Medjugorje at first, you know, this is a thing that kind of took me away from her. She came and, you know, she was there the first time for less than 48 hours and was profoundly touched by the place and came back, and she just felt like it helped her so much. So she comes to visit me in Medjugorje, and actually she came twice this year, but she comes every year that I've been stationed over there. And my mom as well, she came for Mother's Day to Medjugorje. So my mom, you know, when I was working a little bit in Florida, she never wanted to come there, but when I'm in Medjugorje, she's like, I'm coming over. So I am so blessed that my mom and my sister, they love me so much and want to support me in this, and they love what I do. They just come and, you know, support me there, and then also I can spend time with them when I'm here. I don't have kids and I don't have a husband, and I also start to think about that because I'm going to be 33 in January. So this lifestyle is difficult when it comes to that. So I'm thinking maybe I finish off these next 2 movies and I figure out my personal family.
How it's gonna work. But it's always like that, you know, you want to finish the 2 projects and then, you know, another project will probably add up and story. But at the end of the day, it's all about finding someone who, you know, there are many filmmakers out there who will have families. So, you know, finding people that, you know, want to share the dream with you and keep pushing you. Let me ask you then, what is the advice that you will give to people, you know, who want to be like you, storytellers, you know? And it looks to me like, you know, I mean, I don't want to assume this, but when I hear your story and I hear that you're working, if you've already worked in these projects, it seems to me like, was it easy for you to get a job right after you left school and, you know, start working on this project, or did it take you some time?
In 2009 was like the worst year. Like it was like the recession year.
Yeah, that was the year.
It was so hard. And I remember I told my parents, I said, well, my parents worked hard, you know. I always saw them working hard. I could never do something without their blessing. But I told my parents, if I don't get a job in what I studied, I don't want to live it here. I'd rather live in Greece, you know. I'm going to go live in Greece, and I'm going to go work at a coffee shop there because I don't want to work at a coffee shop in Houston. So my mom was like, Cimela, Cimela, please, can you just try to get a job in your career, like what you want to do? And just for the summer, like try as hard as you can. So I said, okay. And I made a list of like over 100 video production companies that were nearby, or podcast, or like different, you know, things that were kind of in my field. And I just went down the list and they were like, we closed down, or I'm going to refer you to someone else. So it was just people saying no all the time. Yes. And then one of my good friends from school, Tom Mendes, he was really involved with Rotary. And he's like, Cimela, you should just go to a Rotary meeting and say, I'm a videographer. I can help you guys. They do amazing work. And I said, okay, I'm going to try. So I always, anytime someone gave me advice, I was trying it. And so I went to a meeting and I met this amazing guy, Albert. And he had a video production company that he started on his own in Houston. And he was like, Cimela, I'm so glad I met you. And we did a few projects together. And he's like, I'm actually going to go get my PhD and I was going to close down the company. But if you want, he was like, you can have it. And he was just like, you know, you can pay me just, you know, for the equipment and whatever. So it was just constantly trying. I think never giving up during that time, because I knew I didn't want to let my parents down. So that video production company allowed me to do a lot of projects locally. I did a lot for St. Thomas. I went to Bolivia with the social entrepreneurship program. I went to the Yucatan, and where else did I go? Oh, Tanzania. So I was doing stuff for St. Thomas. I was touring with Rice University because it was their centennial. So there was so much to do in Houston, and everyone needed a video. And so I think thinking you don't have to go somewhere far away. If you know you can offer some type of product or whatever it is, then try to ask your friends. So I did over 30 weddings. A lot of those weddings were my friends' weddings. Wow. And I was so thankful that they, you know, allowed me to continue to do this. So just letting people know that you're passionate about something and you want to pursue it.
Yeah. So when you want to do a big project, like what some of these projects you've done, like the film with the crime and stuff like that, do you ask for funds before doing that, or do you someone to sponsor the project, or do you go ahead and film it and then try to find some type of distribution or anything like that? How does that work for projects?
Because we're independent filmmakers, we definitely need the help of the community. And so when we did our first movie, Apparition Hill, it was beautiful because so many people have been impacted by Medjugorje that you just put that out there on crowdfunding and people want to support you. They have been so touched personally that they want movies to be made about it. So we had this huge following. Like, we crowdfunded over $100,000 for Apparition Hill. Wow. And we did like maybe 2-3 crowdfunds for it, and those supporters of ours we still are in touch with. They're amazing. They actually help screen our movie in their hometowns. So that's how the movie spread. And I love that because people are following along the journey. They donate to you, and as you're working on it, you're giving them updates. And so they're part of the project. They are what makes the project be able to happen, because we couldn't without financial support. We couldn't do this. So we actually also have a nonprofit that we started called Queen of Peace Productions, and we have people who donate there every year and just help support us through that financially. And so we're always crowdfunding, and we do it for 2 reasons. One, we need the financial support, but mostly I think the best thing is letting people know the journey and helping them, to know how we get the story together and what we're capturing. And Where There Is Darkness, a crime story, we had a lot of support from St. Augustine, the community, the city where he was. Like, the sheriff of the town loved Father Rene so much. He gave us for free his SWAT team. So we have a real SWAT team in our movie. When we had to do a car chase, he let us use all of the training facilities. So we got to do a car chase on the training facility. And with the sheriff, and the commander was the one chasing our actor. So we had so much support from the community. And that's the best thing about being an independent filmmaker, is that the whole community comes together to make something.
Wow, this is amazing. We really hope this could inspire our students. Our last questions, right, is what advice could you give the people who aspire to be storytellers, travelers and artists that might help them find this? Can you give maybe 3 tips?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think for me, I'm inspired by storytellers that I've listened and followed, and I say I've learned a lot from them. And it's just like, you can find, if you just go on YouTube, you can listen to, for example, Brandon, who does Humans of New York. He's the one who captures all those stories, and you can hear his interview of how he does it, how he gets to such emotional stories. And so for me, it's just like the internet is free.
Yes.
And you can go and you can learn all this amazing thing. I also love StoryCorps. It's like a podcast on NPR, and I think the way they capture stories is so beautiful. And it all started after 9/11. Their whole mission was to capture stories from all the victims from 9/11 from their family members. So I really love that. So I would say that a big tip is free internet. Use it. Learn from, and the people who inspire you, follow them, and listen to how they are able to capture their stories. And the last thing, and the most important, I think, is just pray. And what inspires you? Why do you want to tell someone's story? Is there a good that's going to come from sharing that story?
All right. Wow. Thank you so much. I mean, this is grateful. And like you say, free internet. Hey, if you don't have free internet, just come to UST. We have free internet here at UST, right? Wonderful. So if you're just joining us, we were talking today with Cimela Kidonakis, right? And she is Greek and Mexican. This is beautiful. Father is from Greece, mother is from Mexico, and that's why she has such a beautiful name. She's an alumni here, graduated in 2009, right?
Yes.
And so now, what is next? I mean, what is the next thing you will do now that you're going?
Well, we have to promote a lot our works. We've made these amazing films, and so we want people to see them. And the next 2, we have to finish them. And so just working hard. That's it, right? Thank you so much for joining us. We are very happy to see that, we have people live here at UST and do great things like you do. All right. Thank you so much. This is grateful. My name is Alex Yemeck. I'm your host here at Bold. Thank you very much. This was another wonderful episode of Bold. See you next time.